I must apologize that this meeting was scheduled for 8 o'clock. But as I have indicated earlier on that there is an accident around N3, Umlaza Road, where there is a traffic jam, which resulted some members who are physical not be able to come here on time. But let me take this opportunity and welcome all of you to this briefing by the Public Service Commission, led by our commissioner here, Ms. Bacus, and her team. Let me also acknowledge the presence of our Honorable Speaker, Ms. Boyce, and all our members who are here in this meeting. I can see there's Honorable Shinga, who is here physically. Let me also acknowledge Honorable Mpigai Peli. Ngiyathemba ke kusukela namhlanje impi iphelile. And also acknowledge Honorable Harris. Let me also acknowledge Honorable TJ Gumede. Let me also acknowledge Honorable Kapisa and all honorable members who are connecting virtually. And our officials present, led by our Secretary of the Legislature, Ms. Naidu. We are all welcome to this briefing. We do want to indicate that today there will be two presentations. One, the first presentation will be done by the Public Service Commission. And later on, there will be another presentation done by the Office of the Auditor General, AG Office. You are all welcome. If I may proceed, I would like to acknowledge our Commissioner present, Ms. Bacus, and your team. And we do want to say that you are warm welcome by this Legislature of the province of KwaZulu-Natal. I know that this is your home, but we are very much excited that you took your time for you to be able to come and brief us on a number of issues pertaining the Public Service Commission, of which is something that we really appreciate. Let me now go to the next item and invite our Honorable Speaker, Ms. Nontembeko Boyce, the Speaker of the Legislature of the Province of KwaZulu-Natal, to come and give us her remarks. Over to you, Somlong.
Oh, thank you. Good morning, Honorable Chief Whip, and thank you for the opportunity to have the welcoming remarks. Greetings, Honorable Premier, Honorable Dube Ncube, the members of the Legislature, especially those that are connected virtually and those that are here. Our Provincial Commissioner for the Public Service, the entire delegation with you, ma'am. I want to clarify first that we have the members, most of them, who are out. There's by-elections tomorrow. Now, majority of our members are already there in Mkhanyakude. They had to connect. Others may be coming, but the majority of them are connecting from Mkhanyakude that are members here because they have that responsibility to their parties. We want firstly to welcome you because I believe this is the first time that we are having you in the house. Not that it's a first time that you are actually in the house, because you are in Ntombi Esigodi. We have been with you for the longest of times. We, as the legislature, from the beginning of the 6th term, Honorable Premier, we said when we went to our first stretch planning, we will supplement the lack of the research capacity in the legislature with using the institutions supporting democracy, because those institutions have got manpower, but above all, they have got the research capacity. They are a repository of knowledge, and their knowledge is scientific most of the time. We recognize that. It is for this reason that even prior to the appointment of the Provincial Commissioner, we have been working with the National Commissioner. We employed committees to start building ties, because the work of these ISDs is relevant to the portfolio committees. There is no portfolio committee that doesn't get covered, especially by the work of the Public Service Commission. Whether you speak about our Standing Committee on Quality of Life, they get covered there, some of their work, the bulk, including to a certain extent, even the PPP, they get covered there. We have been then doing that, working. We then, as we were reviewing, started to feel that let's make the relationship really live. Let's have them now presenting to members in the House, so that there is that interaction that will inform members when they go to committees. At least, besides hearing the information that is relevant to your portfolio committee, you must have heard what is happening, so that when you go to your portfolio committee, you are able, in the absence of the commission, to interrogate the reports that are brought by departments and the public entities with that knowledge that you have received. We took a decision that we are going to have them starting to come to the House, all of them, because we have been having the AG and FFC coming to us. So now we are going to have all of them. We are also going to be partnering there with them in their roadshows. We started then with the Provincial Public Service Commission. I couldn't go because I was attending some legislature work, and I asked the chairperson of the Premier Portfolio Committee, Honorable Madlo, because I understanding the role that is played by the Office of the Premier in coordinating the work of government departments to be part and to represent us as the speakership. It's a commitment that we are making today as we welcome you, Commissioner, and your team, that we will continue to have you. We will have our own schedules, but sometimes you will be having your special reports, and the initiative will be accepted even when it comes from you, to come to the House and make a presentations. The same way that the Auditor General will be presenting after you, as a request that comes, in fact, a known request, because he comes to present audit reports. But sometimes they come to speak to us on some of the other things that they have noticed. We want you to know that the interactions will be in depth in committees, but for our committees to use the information profitable for their parties, so you may say, but more profitable for the electorate of KwaZulu-Natal, the one that they took an oath of office to serve. They need to get in this form through the House, where all of us will interact with you. We hope that you will not tire when from time to time we say, hey, there is a report there. on what are the investigations that you have done regarding ethics and ethical conduct of the executive? Can we see it? Can you come present on it? We may say that, but generally, whenever you have reports, you are welcome. This is a house. In fact, you are assisting us in the work of oversight and accountability, because the separation of powers, the doctrine of the separation of powers, is such that each of the three powers gets supported and empowered by the Chapter 9 and 10 institutions differently, but also for one purpose: to take service delivery to the people of South Africa as per mandate given to each of those three arms by the Constitution. With that, we want to welcome you. We will interact, Chief Whip. We will ask questions, but we will also not exhaust everything today. Committees will start making requests, even other committees. We hope that you will be ready for that, to do that. You are welcome. Siyabonga. Ngishilo-ke masafika ukuthi ngagcina ngaleli langa sasikhuluma nawe ekomidini. Ucasulwe by occupation of some houses when we were still working in the department. I am sure that that committee will also benefit in that prior experience when they are interacting with you in their report. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, Mr. Boyce, for your welcoming remarks this morning. We thank you so much for that. At this point, let me acknowledge the presence of our Honorable Premier, Ms. Nomusa Dube Ngube Nzwakele. Siyajabula kakhulu ukuba nawe. Nzwakele omkhulu. Siyabonga. Let me also acknowledge the presence of Honorable Dube, another Nzwakele present in the House. All other honorable members who have joined us this morning. Now we proceed. Let me acknowledge the apologies that have been submitted, honorable members. We have received the apology from Honorable MEC Pekinkonyeni, who is unwell. We have received the apology from Honorable Nomakuku Simelane, MEC for Health, who has a family commitment. We have received the apology from Honorable MEC Khoza, who is attending a matric awards in Ugu District Municipality. We have received an apology from Honorable MEC Bongistole Moloi, who will be arriving a bit late due to traffic. We have also received the apology from Honorable Hlopsile Dlamini, who is also unwell. And lastly, we have received the apology from Unomakhosazane Zungu Gwabeni, who is also unwell. So those are the apologies.
But I'm connected. Zoom is connected.
Oh, okay. But yeah.
Thank
you, Honorable Manzini. We just highlighted your apology because it was forwarded, but you are connected on visual. So it means you are present. Thank you for that indication. Now let's proceed, honorable members. Before I call upon the presenter for this morning, let me indicate that honorable members who have been joined by our Commissioner, Ms. Bacus, who will be presenting to us. But the Commissioner is leading a delegation of officials from the Public Service Commission, And among others, part of the delegation, we have Ugwanini Pumziwe. Maybe you can just raise your hand or stand up. Yes, thank you so much, Miss Pumziwe Gwanini. And then followed by Miss Yoliswa Mchali. And followed by Miss Nogutula Mukeba. Thank you. Followed by, I think, Mr. Clement Dlamini. Siyabonga, bese kuba khona uSithabile Mzobe. Miss Thabile Mzobe. Khona ngimshila. My apologies. Ngocela ube ngithola igama lakhe koseduzane so that ngizom introduce. I must apologize. There's one missing, but I will do the introduction as soon as I get the name. But thank you so much for that. Without wasting any time, let me take this opportunity and invite our Commissioner, Ms. Yasmin Bacus, who will be briefing us on the Public Service Commission annual report for the 2021-2022 financial year and other issues that she may want to share with us. Over to you, Commissioner, Ms. Bacus. Or the one that we were missing from, who was part of the delegation from the Public Service Commission, is Mlungisi Zondi Nondaba. Kodwa singakhohlwa kanjani Nondaba?
Thank you, Honorable Program Director, Honorable Nxumalo Zwide, Honorable Madam Speaker, Honorable Deputy Speaker, our Honorable Premier of the Province of KwaZulu-Natal, members of the Executive and Honorable members, the Secretary of the Legislature and all the officials of the Legislature, the officials of the Public Service Commission already acknowledged by the Program Director, all protocols observed. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and I would like to place on record on behalf of the Public Service Commission our deeper gratitude to the Honorable Speaker for inviting us today to present our Section 196 report. Moreover, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you so much for, we called it the shout out, but the acknowledgement you gave us on Friday in your address to the House, which, by the way, I watched on YouTube. It was really wonderful to be able to follow it live on YouTube. Honorable Program Director, we have been called last week in the Eastern Cape Legislature, where I attended the Chair of Chairs workshop, the fourth arm of government, and it was a big joke, but they said exactly what Honorable Madam Speaker said, that we are here to serve all three levels in different capacities and different ways. So thank you very much for giving us this opportunity here today. We have circulated the presentation to the Secretariat. We do hope that it was sent through, and I'm hoping that we are able to all connect to the presentation. The presentation we make today is just a summary of the full report which was tabled in the Legislature previously. So moving on, we're going to try and keep within the time limits, Honorable Program Director, as we have been told that there are other presentations and there's quite a busy day ahead for the House. Our outline is we will just discuss very briefly about the PSC, because we still believe that sometimes our mandate is really confused and who we are. A little bit on the CVPs, the constitutional values and principles which actually give rise to our existence through the Constitution. Then a little bit on our mandate, our reporting lines, because ultimately the Legislature is our boss. We are an extension of the arm of the Legislature in terms of oversight. And I think that's the comment I really want to make today. We are at your disposal as the Legislature. A little bit on the powers and functions of the Public Service Commission, and then to the main areas, which is the report of the Section 196, which is the findings on our areas of oversight. Just a few which we are highlighting, the rest is in the deeper report, and some concluding remarks. So perhaps just to move to the next slide, thank you. All right, at this stage, the PSC leadership looks like that. We have 3 vacancies. which are to be filled. There is one national vacancy which will be filled very soon. We're an almost complete team, and we have 2 vacancies in the Northwest Province and Mpumalanga Province, which are already being finalized. So we hope to have a full team within a few weeks. As I said, honorable members, the founding values and the principles of the Constitution is what the PSC is based on in terms of its executing its duties and its mandate. And I will not go into each one of them because I think you will know it even better than us. Moving to our PSC mandate on the next slide, please. To say that the Public Service Commission is an independent constitutional body established in terms of Chapter 10. I will emphasize this because we're often called a Chapter 9 institution, which is not very different because, as the Honorable Madam Speaker said, we are all forums or institutions supporting democracy at the end of the day. So we're there to promote the constitutional values and principles as set out clearly for us in sections 195 and section 196 of the Constitution, especially on those issues governing public administration throughout the public service. We further derive our powers from the Public Service Commission Act of 1997. We are accountable in terms of the section 196 and 195 to the National Assembly, and we also report to the provincial legislatures through our resident provincial commissioners. We are required to report at least once a year at a minimum to the National Assembly and the provincial legislatures. We consist, as I said, of 14 commissioners appointed by the president who all have equal powers and authorities. We are headed by a chairperson who is currently our Professor Somadota Fiyeni, quite well known as well. There are 9 commissioners nominated by the Premier of each province on the recommendation by the provincial legislatures, and we are interviewed by the committee of the provincial legislatures. Nationally, commissioners are recommended by the National Assembly. Our reporting lines, as I said, as an institution of democracy, we must exercise our powers and we must perform our functions without fear, without favor, without prejudice. And in terms of section 1964E, read with section 196B of the Constitution, we have a duty to report to the provincial legislature, as I said earlier. What do we report on? We report on our activities. We report on the performance of our functions, including any findings we make, any recommendations, any directions we give, and any advice we give as we oversee certain aspects of the public service as per our mandate. We also provide an evaluation of the extent to which the CVPs are being complied with in the public service. Moving on to our powers and functions. Our main objective, honorable members, is to provide effective technical oversight over the public service nationally and provincially. Our mandate does not extend to the local government sphere. However, as the Honorable Program Director said, we are in the process of pushing through what we call the Public Service Commission Amendment Bill, which will then look at how we then extend ourselves over the local government sphere. This bill is already supported by DPSA and the former MPS as well, and we are now going to brief the current MPSA. It is going to cabinet very soon. It is on the priority list of the National Assembly, and we are so hoping that this opportunity to discuss the bill to this august house will also arise, Madam Speaker and Program Director. We would love to be able to bring our commissioners in to discuss what are the changes we are proposing. We have a slight anomaly as the Public Service Commission in that the Commission is independent. However, we are supported by what is called the Office of the Public Service Commission, which is a department under DPSA. And that's a conflict of interest for us, and we need to separate that and gain full independence. It was something that was also persevered by the Public Protector's Office at some stage, and we're hoping that the bill will be passed during the 6th administration, if not in the next administration. The PSC conducts evidence-based research. We do investigations. We do our own accord investigations and those that are also called for by the legislature and other parties. We also do inspections, announced and unannounced inspections, and we do a lot of monitoring and evaluation, and it involves the gathering of qualitative and quantitative data on public administration for use by ourselves, by the legislatures, and by the executive. Our oversight areas cover the organization of departments, such as the structural arrangements of departments in the public service. And here again, I'm reading from the Constitution, the administration of the public service, which are procedures, the policy frameworks, the accountability mechanisms of government that ensure the effective functioning of the public service. We also look at personnel procedures and practices of the public service. That is, we look at recruitment, we look at transfers, we look at promotions and dismissals, and the public administration practices, which are all the functions and activities executed which provide a service to our people. And then we look at the adherence to applicable procedures. That is, many issues of compliance within our powers and mandates, compliance with the letter and law that's prescribed in our rules, in our policies, in our procedures of government. And always underlining the foundation is we're always looking at the extent to which the constitutional values and principles are being complied with and promoted within our departments amongst our staff. Moving to the findings on areas of oversight. As part of discharging our custodial oversight responsibilities, the PSC manages and monitors the implementation of the Financial Disclosure Framework, that is FDFs as it's popularly known, and you know that FDFs relate to the Senior Management Service. Regulations 21 of the Public Service Regulation 2016 enjoins us as the PSC to verify the interest disclosed by SMS members with the view to identifying potential areas of conflict and looking at where we may be compromised as officials or compromising government in as well. This process culminates in the drafting of reports by the PSC to the respective EAs. We are constantly in communication with EAs and with HODs, advising and recommending on appropriate actions to be taken regarding conflicts of interest that might be detected. The PSC also promotes professional ethics in the public service. We host a lot of workshops with departments. We write up to HODs. We say we are available in the new financial year. Each financial year, call on us. We will come and do workshops on professional ethics with various sectors and levels within your administration. We also do the hosting of the annual International Corruption Day. It is a very big event, and last year we had people like personalities and resources of the country like Justice Zondo and Advocate Thuli Madonsela addressing our forum. We do this in collaboration with the Institute Supporting Democracy, and in most provinces as well, there are joint events with the Office of the Premier on this day. So, the partnership is always extended, and we do approach the Office of the Premier annually to see if we can partner on this. Professional ethics. The submission on FDFs for the 2021-22 financial year, coming home to the KZN province, we have 605 out of 607 financial disclosure forms that were submitted to the PSC as required by Regulation 18.5 and 6 of the Public Service Regulations 2016. It's not bad at all, honorable members. We were just 2 out, but I'll speak to it as I move on. 2 SMS disclosure forms were not submitted. One was from the Department of Education, wherein the official was on suspension. The department reported to us that they had failed to reach the suspended official. And the matter was then escalated to the executing authority, and we are still awaiting a response. Currently, SMS members are already getting their disclosure forms ready for the last financial year. So we are already in the next cycle. The other official was an ethics officer from the Department of Human Settlements, wherein the form could not be verified and submitted to the HOD on time, as there was no other ethics officer to perform that duty. So there again, we believe that both these challenges were not insurmountable. If they had only reached out to us as the PSC, we would have seen how we could assist the departments. And this is a submission we made as we approached HODs recently in the cohort to say, call on us. I'm just a phone call away. The staff are also just a phone call away. If you're ever faced with something and you want your 100% scorecard and you're committed to it, we are there. We will assist you and we will guide you. So we are also having direct meetings with the HODs, having presented the dashboard to the cohort about 2 weeks ago. And we are asking HODs to give us an opportunity to come and present their department scorecard to them and see where we can assist and where we can guide. We've had a very positive meeting with the HOD for Economic Development, who is a former official from DPSA who understands our mandate and of course, the commitments and the compliance required in terms of public service regulations and act. So we had a very positive meeting, and we are now supplying in-depth information to assist him to overcome and perhaps to have a better dashboard and scorecard. We're also meeting with the HOD of Health on the 2nd of May, and other HODs are yet to respond to our request to meet and present their dashboard on performance. We did identify 13 potential conflicts of interest, and I say potential, not, and we presented to the EAs, and we are waiting for responses on that one. In view of the foregoing, the PSC advised the affected EAs to take appropriate action in terms of the public service regulations, and all EAs have, since we have said, dispatched a letter, responded. So that is very positive, and we thank the EAs for giving us that support and cooperation. The next slide is just putting it into context in terms of the last few years. I thought I would give, a display, produce an illustration of how we have fared over the last few years. Moving from 2017-18, we were 99.6% on FDFs in terms of our compliance. Then the following year, 18-19, we were 99.5%. 19-20, we were 99.6%. 2021, we were 99.8%. I think that was the highest we achieved thus far. 21-22 was 99.6%. Honorable Program Director and honorable members, I have no doubt that based on the small challenges, we're going to reach 100%. That is my target, and I'm working alongside for government to have that positive scorecard so that I can also, report to the plenary of commissioners that we did meet 100%. I'm very committed towards that, and I'm urging, EAs and HODs to work with us to get that 100%. We would love to do that. We are there to support you in improving the scorecard in terms of governance. Now, in terms of our observations on the FDFs, we have observed that our province, as I said, has not obtained 100% yet for the last 5 years due to non-submission by some SMS members. Some do submit, but then they end up submitting after the due date, and we cannot count it as 100% compliance because that's what the public service regulations ask us to do. This is your cutoff date, you must submit by that. So we're urging HODs, press a little bit harder, get it in time in terms of the compliance date. It's well understood also by us as the PSC that this is a very large province and we have a large number of SMS members. However, we believe that the non-compliance figure is so minute that we can close this gap and we can have that 100% achievement. We would also like to really raise this bar and assist and guide the HODs as much as we can to achieve this. So monitoring of the financial misconduct cases now finalized during 2021-22, honorable members, it's not such good news as per the earlier one on FDFs. We reported a total number of 19 disciplinary cases completed. That is positive. And this related to financial misconduct during the 21-22 financial year. The most common cases of financial misconduct was misappropriation and abuse of state resources, which accounted for 8 out of the 19, which is 42% of the 19 cases. Other cases were of fraud, of irregular expenditure, and gross negligence. And of course, Auditor General will speak more to that. Of the 19 disciplinary cases, 1 employee was found guilty. 1 resigned before the disciplinary process could be finalized. Only 2 cases were referred to the SAPS because we saw it as potential criminal in nature. The rest were administrative in nature. And we work with the department supporting them on this. The total amount of money involved in respect of the completed financial misconduct cases for the financial year 21-22 was 7,141,878,048 cents. The Department of Education had the highest amount, totaling 6 billion 770,161,000. Public Works followed with 248,937,000. Economic Development and Environmental Affairs was 114,561,000. And Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs was 8,218,000. Nothing from transport, no figure from transport was relevant. So there we have it in terms of the financial misconduct cases. The total amount of money, we do monitor as well what happens after these misconduct cases have arisen. The total amount of money recovered by departments as of 31 March 22 was 190,379 rands. The total of money that was still outstanding and yet to be recovered by departments was 6,951,498 as at the end of 31st March. It appears to us as the PSC that the commitment on the part of the departments to recover monies is very slow or perhaps lacking, as observed from the reports over the last 3 financial years. Moving on to the management of grievances, which is what we largely occupies us on a day-to-day basis as the Public Service Commission, we do play a critical role in the management of employee grievances in the public service and in addressing matters which have an impact on labour relations through advocacy, through information sharing sessions. Grievances are received by the PSC either directly from the employees or by referrals by the department or even through their labour representatives. When the department's executing authority is of the view that it has exhausted all grievance resolution mechanisms and the aggrieved still remains dissatisfied, such a grievance is referred to the PSC for further consideration and investigation. So furthermore, the HODs are required to report to the Public Service Commission on a 6-monthly basis on the resolution of grievances within the departments in terms of our 6 months grievance stats. The management of grievances during the 21-22 financial year, provincial departments reported a total of 639 grievances. The majority of these grievances, which is 84.4%, emanate from the departments of education and health, mainly because of the size of these departments. And education had a 58.4% of the total, and health occupied 26% of the majority of the cases. Of the 639 grievances reported during that financial year, 62% were finalized within the prescribed time frame. It's not too bad, but it can definitely improve. So we would hope that going forward, the HODs try to finalize these within the time frames. 15% were finalized outside the prescribed timeframes, and we are now left with the batch that is carried over into the new financial year, which is 23%, which are still under consideration and are still pending. In total, we are looking at 77% of the grievance cases that were referred to us that have been finalized, which is not too bad. As I said, it's not bad, but I know that there is room for improvement and we can do better. A total of 13 of the 639 grievances were referred directly by the public servants to the PSC. The rest came via the department. So we thank the executing authorities and the departments for cooperating with us, for reaching the point where you see that the aggrieved official is not happy and then you pass it over to us. Recently, we had the chairperson of the board of a public entity who approached us in the province, who approached us and said, Commissioner and your team, I am faced with dilemma. There's a contract that's ending. There's some things that were done in terms of the internal transfer and secondment. We want your audited opinion, your objective opinion. This is the scenario. We are submitting all the documents to you. Please assist us before we take a decision as the board. And we put our heads together. We also brought in our legal team from the national office, and we gave a firm opinion as the Public Service Commission. So we are available to be part of the solution. We are not just there to pronounce after the fact. Do rope us in, do call on us. We are available to assist. The management of grievances continued. An important observation that we made and which we can highlight is the disparity between the number of grievance cases that are reported by departments to the PSC and what we have on our records. Sometimes we have a particular number and the department is not aware of those officials who have come directly to us. We would like to be able to have parity in that so that departments are aware. And we do write up immediately to the department and say, your official has come to us with this grievance. And we will speak for the grievance and we will say whether the grievance has been found to be substantiated or unsubstantiated. But we find that on their side, the departments are not updating their stats. According to the biannual stats submitted by departments, there's only one grievance case that's reported. However, we had much more. So such a disparity may be attributed to the fact that 13 of these grievances were referred by the employees, as I said, directly to us. But the departments, we do write to the departments and inform them. We do not just deal with it without informing the department, but we find that their stats are not being updated and their records are not being kept. This implies that respective departments from which these grievances emanated are failing to comply with the prescribed 30-day time frame. The next table and illustration just speaks to a comparison in respect of the nature of grievances lodged by aggrieved employees, with the highest number of grievance cases related to the filling of posts, followed by unfair treatment and then salary problems. A lot of these cases, honourable members, are unsubstantiated, but we do take it on, we investigate, and we give the results back to the executing authority. A lot of them are as a result of what we call forum shopping. When the department gives an answer, they're not happy, even though the process has been clear cut. Then they will come to the PSC hoping for a different decision, and it's not like that. In most cases, the department's decision is substantiated. So we can't avoid that, but we cannot turn it away either. The PSC conducts public administration own accord investigations upon receipt of complaints which are lodged by public servants and the public through various access mechanisms. So our public administrative investigations involve allegations of non-adherence, checking routine recruitment and supply chain management processes. And sometimes these investigations do extend to other critical administrative processes, such as service delivery complaints that come from the public, unreasonable delays, and mostly we are faced with these that are coming through from the Department of Home Affairs. The Public Service Commission has a set arrangement now with the Honourable Minister of Home Affairs, Dr. Aaron Motsoaledi. We had a meeting with him last week as well. Almost every 2 months we meet and we present the state and our investigation report, and we get this collaboration, and we get the opportunity to table our challenges before the minister, and the minister takes it on very constructively and reports back to us at the next meeting, and we report back to the minister as well on the progress on our side. So we have a very good arrangement with the Home Affairs, and generally the service delivery complaints come from a lot around there. Also, through investigations, the PSC reports on compliance with national norms and standards, and we provide advice on best practices. We recommend corrective actions that must be undertaken by departments, and that's part of our duty in terms of the Constitution. Of course, we can only recommend, we can only advise, we can only guide. Departments are not at this stage compelled to take it, but they are at least compelled to give us a response in terms of how they feel about our recommendations. And we're hoping the amendment bill will give us a little bit of teeth to our organization, so that the constructive recommendations we are giving are taken seriously. Our reports that we compile on public administrative investigations provide valuable information to Parliament and to the provincial legislatures in performing oversight responsibilities, and also acts as a conduit through which best practice is promoted in the public service. There are departments that do fare well in dealing with their administrative investigations. Complaints that we investigated in the public service KZN by the PSC over the 21-22 financial year, we had just 33 complaints, not too bad at all as well. And we do see that the complaints are going down to a certain extent. Of these, 88% of the cases we received were in the financial year, and 12% were carried over from the previous financial year. 70% of these 33 cases that I've mentioned were finalized during the financial year. 30% of the cases were carried over, and the cases that were carried over all received towards the end of the year, which means they are still being investigated and finalized. So we have 4 complaints that were finalized as substantiated. In other words, 4 of those 33, those complaints were legitimate, and the balance were unsubstantiated. That's how we deal with it. How we deal with complaints is we investigate it, we have a draft report, and then we have panels that are set up, and we sit with our other provinces, and each province takes its cases in that panel. And then we have that higher panel also preside over it. So it's not just our arbitrary decision. Or we have grouped ourselves into 3 sets of panels, 3 provinces, 3 provinces, 3 provinces. So we take it up to national, then we have we sit and preside on it, then it goes finally higher, it gets the decision gets taken, and then we bring it down and communicate it to the HOD and the executing authority. So it's not as though Commissioner Bacus and her team will just make an arbitrary decision. We have a very strong validation process where even if perhaps we overlook something, another commissioner and their team in that panel will say, have we thought of this? Can we add another recommendation? Can we acknowledge the best practice in this? So this is how we work. Moving on to the next slide. A lot of times it's not known that the Public Service Commission manages the NAH, which is the National Anti-Corruption Hotline. It's a government initiative, as we all know, to ensure that cases of corruption are reported centrally and redirected to the relevant departments for investigation, which is what we do. We have been managing this hotline since September 2004, following a cabinet resolution of 14 August 2003. We also provide a secretariat support to the National Anti-Corruption Forum. During coming home now to KZN during 2021-22 financial year, we received 24 cases through the NAH, which relate to KZN government. 42% of the complaints were referred to the departments, and 58% we were able to investigate directly. From the 42% that we referred to the departments, unfortunately, I have to say this, no feedback was received, which is very sad. We're hoping that as I meet HODs individually, we will be able to put the scorecard before them and say, please do not be perturbed by it. This is something we receive. It's not something we devise. It comes through the anti-corruption hotline. We recently did one very major one for for example, for the Office of the Premier, and found that that complaint was unsubstantiated. So we're hoping that HODs do not have fear. They allow us to investigate and work and cooperate with us, and we are able to reach a good conclusion. The nature of the complaints relate mostly to fraud, unethical conduct, appointment irregularities, and procurement irregularities. Moving on to service delivery inspections, which the PSC does. We do announced inspections and we do unannounced service delivery inspections. Our inspections give an understanding of how services are being received by the citizens, and we seek to provide on-the-spot recommendation to unblock service delivery. And we eventually then, if there are national competency departments, we take those service delivery complaints to our national commissioners, who are then liaising with national ministers, and we have very positive response.
Order, please. Order, please. Honorable Madopa, can you please mute?
No, Honorable, it's not me. It's Manzini.
Oh, my apologies, Tatewet. Honorable Manzini, can you please mute? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. During the said financial year 21-22, we conducted inspections, unannounced inspections at selected schools in KZN to assess COVID compliance, etc. And we found that the department, we recommended departments should ensure that all schools adhere to the regulations, protocols. The department should also monitor compliance with COVID-19 regulations, upgrade schoolyards at Nguluzana Primary School. We also worked with asking the department to work with DOT to expedite rollout of public scholar transport in schools that need it desperately, so that the enforcement and monitoring of compliance with COVID-19 regulations was easily achievable. And we, in lots of schools, we found that the department should provide schools with more desks in order to accommodate the shortage of spacing and to manage social distancing during that time. So we also did unannounced inspections at the selected Department of Home Affairs sites, as I mentioned, to assess the quality of services rendered to the public and the state of the facilities and conditions. And we found that a lot of the time, these facilities are not adequately capacitated as a service sites. The national minister, in our meeting with him last week, spoke about how he is struggling to get his vacancies filled and obviously to have the budget to match it. So he has acknowledged that they have a high vacancy rate and they are trying their best. They are also linking up with universities, etc., to bring in graduates so that they can, train them. And they have a wonderful academy that's going to be able to roll out these young people into the Department of Home Affairs offices. We are, though, concerned about the ablution facilities and the facilities for elderly, especially when they have to stand in queues with no shelter, exposed to the rain, exposed to sunlight. I think, as I said to the minister last week, I think our greatest challenge now, we have three enemies. The one is load shedding, which is putting a lot of downtime on systems, and people who can't afford it have to go back and come back the next day. It is putting undue pressure on citizens as well as on officials within these service centers. The other enemy is, believe it or not, cable theft. We are actually getting a lot of cable theft, which is denying these service